My latest video is going to be working on the carburetor of a Briggs and Stratton lawnmower engine. This is the 450 series 148cc horizontal motor here, and the engine it was actually running really good, and then I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I got the infamous surging of the motor, just surging up and down and up and down and up and down, won't stop, and that's the telltale sign of the carburetor. There's a small diaphragm between the carburetor and the gas tank that goes bad sometimes, and when you hear that surging, it's almost always that diaphragm causing it. It can be caused by dirty air filters and stuff, but not usually, and those are easy to fix. You just take the air filter off and see if it's still surging, and if it isn't, you know it's the air filter. And in this case I tried that, didn't work, but this is what it sounds like. So if that's what your lawnmower sounds like, or your other kind of horizontal motor, Briggs and Stratton motor especially, I'm going to show you how to fix that. First thing that's got to be done is we got to take the air cleaner off, and that's just a simple flat blade screwdriver. Nothing fancy with that. Long bolt comes right out. And then the whole entire air cleaner assembly just lifts right off the carburetor. And you know, if you are not familiar with this, it's two pieces. Got the top half, and then inside that is the air filter itself, which is just basically a styrofoam sponge. And you can lightly oil this if you want to help filter out the dirt as it's going into the carburetor. I don't even think you really have to do that, to be honest with you. And there you have the carburetor itself right here. And what we're going to do is there are two bolts holding this gas tank onto the rest of the motor itself. There's one here and there's one right here. So I'm going to take those off and gently pull the gas tank away from the rest of the engine. And when we do that, there's a rubber elbow right here. It's this rubber elbow right here that will come off of the air tube going down to the engine. And then these springs right here, you don't really want to mess with them too much, but right, let's see if I can focus in on it. Right here, this bigger piece of metal, this loop, it's going to come out of this arm on the carburetor itself. And hopefully I'll capture that for you so you can see how to do that without having to take all these springs off and remember where they went. So this bolt on the front is a 3/8. And the bolt back here, I use an extension to get to it. It takes a 1/2-inch socket to get it off. And that bolt comes right out. So now, like I said, the whole thing is just basically going to slide right off. So you start easing it back. Pop this elbow, this rubber elbow. It just comes right off that air tube. So then the carburetor comes off of this tube here, which takes the fuel into the cylinder. And there's a rubber O-ring inside there, so when you're pulling this off, you kind of want to have some kind of kid gloves, so you're not just yanking it off there and possibly damaging the O-ring. So now, the only trick to this is getting this metal piece out of this carburetor without messing up the springs and dumping gas all over the place. And you saw how I did it there. You just basically tilt the gas tank down like that, and then that metal piece comes right out of this hole right here. That's where that metal piece went into, right there. Alright, I got a little bit of a different angle here. Try to show you. On this carburetor, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Phillips head screws that hold the carburetor to the gas tank. So all I'm going to do is just take a regular old Phillips screwdriver and loosen them. I always loosen them in a kind of a star pattern. Briggs and Stratton motors are not rocket science. They're pretty easy to work on. Even if you have to totally rebuild one, they're pretty easy to work on. You don't need hardly any special tools. There's some stuff that you can get, but really, overall, they're great little engines, and they don't need much. This thing off. Get it out of the way. That's that rubber elbow, and you can see there's not much to it. Okay, so you get the 5 screws out. So from here, once you get the screws out, this just lifts right off the tank. And your intake there, you just kind of angle it to get it out of that hole. And yet you should have a spring right there, which you can see. Yep. There you see the spring, and that's really all there is to the carburetor. And sometimes with these, whatever's wrong is not really visible. You know, I can't tell you I really see anything wrong with this at first glance. Unless anybody out there in YouTube world sees anything wrong with it, I don't really, but that doesn't mean, just because it looks good doesn't mean it is. Take it off here real easy like. And actually, before you do that, you should look at your replacement parts, make sure you have the right ones, because there are tons and tons of different plastic carburetors for these motors. Okay, so before you go taking too much stuff apart, you really should take your new piece and check it against the old piece and see if all the holes line up, if it looks right. And in this case, everything looks the same. All my screw holes line up, the big holes line up, all these reliefs here, they're the same as the old one. So once you're reasonably comfortable that you've got the right piece there, all I'm going to do is take this guy off, and I'm going to put this guy on there. Okay. Get it lined up fairly well, and then the other part is, your repair kit should come with 2 pieces. One piece being that diaphragm, and the other piece is the gasket, which goes on the bottom of the carburetor. And maybe it could be in your situation that the gasket is what has the problem, and not the diaphragm. Might be a small tear in one of these passageways or something. Here's the bottom of the carburetor. Here's the bottom of the carburetor, and you can see the gasket on there, so I'm just going to lightly peel that off, put the new one on there, and start putting it back together.